Hey, what's up guys, Rep here. So over the past few weeks, there has been growing concern regarding the VTuber Pikamee, given her recent streaming hiatus and inactivity on social media. Well, I have an unfortunate update for you guys. Earlier today, Pikamee and her management Hogwarts project announced that she'll be graduating at the end of March, where her VTubing activities and channels will close at that time. Perhaps unsurprisingly, given recent events, this set of news has been met with an explosion of reaction on social media. Reaction from many different parties, including her fans, her colleagues, neutral observers, and even Twitter freaks who are using this situation to breed even more hateful rhetoric. So, since there's a lot of ground to cover in this video, I want to make a simple outline of what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to spend a minute talking about the events over the past few weeks that caused growing concerns among Pikamee's fans. Then we're going to take a look at the graduation announcement and its details. Then we're going to look at some of the public reaction to the news. And then we'll conclude with what happens next for both Pikamee and also anyone watching this video who happens to be her fan. So like I said, lots of ground to cover in this video, so let's jump right into it. As we begin the recap of recent events, one thing to keep in mind is that Pikamee had been on a hiatus from streaming for roughly a month now, and on February 6th, Pikamee expressed her intentions to return to content creation by streaming Hogwarts Legacy the following day on YouTube. However, those plans would quickly change after Pikamee was harassed by Twitter users who were calling her a transphobe, among other hateful rhetoric, for simply wanting to stream this game, where Pikamee would then cancel the stream and share that she was just a kettle who wanted to play games and meant no harm. Those tweets, accompanied by her goodnight tweet shortly after, were followed by a 3-week-long inactivity on social media. This was something that made many fans concerned about the possibility that she was quite literally bullied off of the internet by Twitter users, something that I covered in this video that was only 2 days ago. So like I said, earlier this morning, both Pikamee and her management at Hogwarts project made the related graduation announcements. And you can see by the number of views on this tweet and the interactions and the fact that Pikamee is trending, this is a really big deal. But I want to take a second to look over the details of the announcement with you because I think it's important to understand what's going to happen moving forward as she wraps up her activities with the group and just as her persona of Pikamee as a whole. So it begins by saying, "We regret to inform you that Amano Pikamee, a member of our group, will graduate from the group and terminate her activities as of March 31st, 2023. We have discussed this with Pikamee herself and respect her wishes and have decided to graduate in a positive way. We sincerely apologize for the sudden announcement. We would like to express our deepest gratitude to all of our viewers for the excitement you have been giving us through our distribution and other activities. With only 1 month left, we hope you'll continue to support Amano Pikamee until then." So in the bottom here, they're just talking about a Vom's Park, a little pop-up store involving, you can pause and read for yourself, but I just want to make it clear that some people have made some assumptions based on this, and you can see there's nothing to do with the graduation in terms of back in February when this all started happening. Some people have used that to claim this whole thing was in motion before the harassment, but we'll talk about that later. So on the following page, this is important to know, and get your video downloaders ready if you need to. The post-graduation information. The following actions are scheduled to be taken during March 31st. Pikamee's channel content will be private, channel memberships will be closed, and her SNS and other accounts will be inactive, and the content of the Vons project channel will go private, and other products will be at their end of sale. And it appears also that her Twitter account is going to be still live but inactive. So these are all of the important pieces of information you need to know for her account. If you want to go and quickly download the videos, I suggest you do that before the 31st. That might be your last shot, at least with the official clips and official VODs and things like that. So Pikamee also spread a few words about this and shared her thoughts, and really just quick, just like her YouTube video, she linked it here. She said, "Sorry for being silent for almost a month. Thank you so much for all of your support and the kind words you guys gave me while I was gone. I am a lucky kettle to have people like you. So she would actually make some follow-up tweets that are much more lighthearted about this situation. We'll look at those at the end of the video, but these things combined, it paints the very clear picture that she is graduating. Whether you want to call that a firing, a termination, that's just speculation at this point. But I want to make something very clear at the jump here, and I don't want to make these things forgotten, okay? There are different claims that this was a long time coming. We will never know the specifics of this situation. In my opinion, based on everything that's happened, you can't 100% blame the Hogwarts Legacy harassment on her graduation. I will say, though, the timing of it paints a picture that it may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. The kind of last thing that really pushed her to this decision, because she planned on returning to streaming. It wasn't like her hiatus hadn't ended. She was announcing that she was going to come back and stream Hogwarts Legacy on the 7th. And she gets harassed, goes silent for weeks, and then this graduation announcement is made. Maybe this announcement was always planned for March 1st. We will never know. But clearly, these events had some sort of a role. You don't have to be Pikamee. You don't have to read her mind. You don't have to read the mind of the management to understand that it certainly played a role in this graduation and the speed of the decision, right? Now, of course, people in reaction to this, many of the cry bullies on Twitter, will deflect and say this was all planned and that the harassment played zero role. And honestly, here's my stance. Like I said, it played a role, and I think people out there, you have every single right to be angry about this situation in terms of the harassment. You have every single right to call people out who are bullying Pikamee, and of course, it hasn't stopped since the graduation announcement, and we're going to look at that later in the video. But you also have the right to go out there and correct misinformation surrounding both her, Silvervale, or anyone else swept up in this harassment campaign. That is your right. However, be wary that Twitter freaks and the other people playing victims in this situation that has nothing to do with them are going to take advantage of all this, right? And I ask you, not just as a general principle, but specifically in this situation, because I know people are so angry, do not, and I repeat, do not resort to transphobia. Not only is it just bad in general, I mean, stand and applaud me for denouncing transphobia. It's not like it's the first time I've done it, but those sorts of acts are exactly what these cry bullies on Twitter want you to do. They want you to feed into the hate and give them ammunition to allow them to play the victim, where in this scenario, the only real victim was Pikamee, Silvervale, and other people harassed over this video game. I really want to make that point. That does not mean you can't speak. Like I said, go out there, call out people, call out these bullies, and put them in their place, correct misinformation, and do things like that. But do not resort to transphobia. It is a terrible look. And if you don't want to believe what I'm saying or take what I'm saying seriously, just ask yourself, what would Pikamee want in this situation? If you're truly a fan of Pikamee and everything she's done, do you really think she, of all people, would want you to resort to transphobia when replying to these people? Keep your cool. You don't have to resort to name calling and terrible things to make your point, okay? There's nothing that gets people more upset and shook when you take a calm approach to addressing things they've done wrong and call them out in a appropriate manner. Doesn't mean you can't be passionate or emotional, but just don't resort to petty, cheap insults and transphobia. That is all I ask in this situation. So now we're going to take some time and look at the public reaction to Pikamee's graduation, including both words of support, some emotional responses to the news, and of course, some more Twitter freaks spreading rhetoric that is directing hate to Pikamee and other people playing the Hogwarts Legacy game. So we're going to begin with Hughes. They are an illustrator who has made artwork for Pikamee, and they say, I actually despise terminally online people who do selectivism just to make people quit what they like to do, like streaming a game they play. Pikamee is like one of the only streamers I watch and donate if I can. I always end up good when I visit. And even that simple smile in my day for watching her stream, I can't be granted with that because of a few loud, obnoxious, terminally online people, I'm sick of this. And I'm sick of this too. And they bring up a lot of good points. Number one, Pikamee has a sterling reputation in the VTuber community. Okay, people who have any sort of familiarity with her content know that she is an incredibly sweet person and just fun, right? Her streams are just fun. And besides someone maybe like I would say Kizuna I think Pikamee for me was the best introduction to Japanese VTubers because not only does she speak both Japanese and English, she also is just so fun to watch. Like, you can't watch some of these clips of Pikamee and not smile. Like, you'd have to be dead inside to not do that. And it is extra frustrating to see someone like that be dragged into this drama. Like I said too, the Hogwarts Legacy related harassment wasn't the only reason she's graduating. That is not the sole reason, but it clearly had some sort of an impact. And it's sad to see that was her last real action before the graduation announcement. And I think the final part they said about the few loud, obnoxious, terminally online people, that is a very well said passage. Because a lot of the people who are bullying Pikamee say that, oh, well, this was just her fans expressing disappointment. That wasn't harassment. No, it was not her fans. It was a very small minority of loud people on Twitter who never watched her in the first place, who were bullying her for simply streaming this game. It wasn't just her fans. No, it was a very small minority of very loud people on Twitter who got exactly what they wanted, her graduation. And here we have depressed Nosagi, and say what you want about him, but he came in with a statement. He's obviously very connected with the VTuber community. He said, "I only come back to this account when big historical things happen." And something did happen. Holy F, Pikamee. I'm pretty sure she has bigger reasons than being harassed, and that it may have been just the tipping point, but holy S, this hits harder than I thought it would. Yeah, and it really is hitting hard for a lot of people. It's like, the hiatus was one thing, but now seeing the actual graduation go into motion and knowing that her activities will be done by the end of this month, it's pretty crazy. And this situation, and it relates back to Nosagi, it reminds me a lot of Coco's graduation as well as Rashia, but, those are a little bit different. But it's the public reaction to this. It is a very crazy thing to see this graduation unfold on the biggest stage of social media. Like, everyone's talking about this. And like I said, the Rashia thing, that's more of the level of reaction, but it does remind me of the Coco graduation because many people understand they did nothing wrong. Neither side did nothing wrong, and it relates back to whether she was also graduated or this was a nice way of saying that Pikamee was fired. I don't understand what possibly she could have done other than maybe just the lack of streams is some sort of a contractual problem, but it doesn't seem like that is the issue. It just seems like this is something that the parties wanted and Pikamee was already thinking about. And like I said, I hate suspecting these things, but clearly the Hogwarts Legacy related harassment may have been the tipping point that led to the announcement. And this user brings up a very good point. So they say, Pikamee shared stories about being bullied in school because she was different. She talked about VTubing finally being the place where people accepted and loved her. For her to graduate in this manner is a pinnacle of disrespect for the love and joy she brought the world. And I don't want to beat this point to death, but it is very sad. She has shared many times on stream that she was bullied when she was in high school or in school in general because she was different. Part of that being half Japanese, half American. And to think of all the positivity she has spread throughout the years, this is the tipping point of her graduation, where she is once again the victim of bullying. It's just sad to see. And this is a thread that's been going around. I've been seeing a lot of people using this to defend some of the people bullying Pikamee, saying that her graduation was always in motion. And I just want to correct some of the misinformation about this post, where they ironically say, since it's tiring to see misinformation, Vom's Park pop-up store was announced to go public on February 10th. Per graduation statement, said Vom's Park was planned with the knowledge that Pikamee would graduate in March and would be a part of sending her off. Hogwarts Legacy came out on February 10th. So a lot of people have been citing this, that how could they make this deal about February 10th, the same day that the stream where she was harassed took place? No, that's not the case. She made her announcement that she was going to stream Hogwarts Legacy on February 6th. She was immediately harassed, and in the coming hours, and by then officially February 7th, she canceled the stream. It is very likely that these deals were made in the 3 days before that February 10th date. So I just wanted to point that out. A lot of people have been using this as proof that she was always graduating, and maybe it is the case, but this series of events is not true, and the harassment took place several days before this February 10th related day for the pop-up store. So I wanted to point that out. And this was a pretty rowdy tweet I saw earlier today. It just shows the frustration. A lot of people are really frustrated. It's not just that Pikamee is graduating, it's sad. A lot of people are frustrated because she was bullied into this, and it leaves a really bitter taste in people's mouth. And Tenma from Phase Connect said this. The initial tweet was down here saying, "This is dumb and stupid. For ruining C words, get the rope." And many people started citing this as proof that people want trans people to be hurt, which is not the case. It's just like the Twitter freaks comment. This was not addressed at trans people. It was addressed at people who bullied Pikamee and are continuing to bully Pikamee. And eventually Tenma made this quote retweet clarifying, as per their management's request, that this rope was directed at bullies, not anyone else. And unfortunately, that initial tweet has since been taken down for violating Twitter's rules, which is ridiculous. But basically, anytime you make even the slightest threat involving something like rope, you're pretty much done for on Twitter. But it just goes to show how frustrated and angry people are. And I really don't blame people having this sort of reaction to the situation. So, of course, what would this whole situation be without these same cry bullies taking advantage of it to spread more ridiculous rhetoric? This person who was very involved in the harassment campaigns against both Pikamee and Silverville says this: "Pikamee is graduating. Being a trans VTuber is about to get a lot worse, as transphobes will blame trans people for this. These are just 4 random examples down below. Be safe, y'all. It's about to get a lot worse." And they're still using the term Twitter freaks, so thanks, Silver, for that. Well, anyone talking like this, yeah, you are a Twitter freak. Not because you're a trans VTuber or anything like that. You're a Twitter freak because you support harassment of someone over a video game. The same way Silver described the term Twitter freaks back when she initially said it. And leave it to these people to make it about themselves, right? A person is bullied essentially off of the internet, and many people believe it is one of the reasons she graduates. And of course, somehow other people are the victims in this situation. And it wouldn't be the only tweet like this. You have people saying that now anyone angry about this decision is transphobic, and of course they're calling Pikamee transphobic. This is supposed to be like a trans positivity account, and they're saying that, or celebrating that she has been run off of the platform because of people like that, and that other users like this who are upset about the situation, they're going to be run off soon too. And then you see quotes like this down below. Again, I don't even, this is something a transphobe would say, not someone who's supposed to be fighting these things. It's really disturbing the lengths people go. And here's another player in the harassment campaign saying, "Trans discourse in 2023, actual trans issues. We just want to have the same rights as other people and don't want to be murdered by systems of oppression. What cis people think they are." And again, throwing out a slur. I don't understand why people like this are so excited to share slurs while quoting straw men in this situation. And they end it by saying cis people are just so effing fragile. Yes, cis people like Pikamee are so fragile, right? You know, I don't think it's fragile to not want someone to be bullied over a video game. And also, I can't think of anything more fragile than trying to justify bullying and harassment campaigns over a video game. That is fragility, if I've ever heard of it. But yeah, Again, just creating straw man, and no one's denying these actual trans issues. Like, for me, those are very important issues. I believe that more attention should be paid to them. But that does not mean anyone should be wasting their time harassing people over a video game. If you think those things are on the same level, like systematic issues and laws are on the same path of playing games like Hogwarts Legacy, you are terminally online. You are a Twitter freak. And that's all there is to it. And you go on, and a lot of people have been celebrating the news. You can see people like this. I consider this a win. Thank you for graduating her. Also, keep a tighter leash on your fanboys/orbiters. They seem to be attacking other communities as well. Thanks. 24 quote retweets and not a single like. Impressive. But a lot of people considering this a win are just losers. This is not a win. This is a sad day where someone was bullied into graduating. It was one of many factors, but clearly it played a role, and you have people like this not only celebrating it, but asking to keep a tighter leash on people. And of course, one of the things is you don't want to blame trans people for any sort of trans people bullying people like Pikamee. You don't want to attribute that to all of trans people, and yet when it comes to this, the same thing is done. If someone's harassing in the name of Pikamee, that doesn't mean Pikamee is endorsing the harassment, and that should be applied fairly by both sides. But of course, it's not. And you have more people like this down here. This person right here was they're under every post about Pikamee, calling Pikamee a transphobe and harassing people. And I don't know, for Twitter, who's so sensitive about aggressive comments like this, to see this account still here is absolutely insane. And of course, gaslighting people into thinking that it's actually transphobes who made her graduate. And the whole harassment never happened, and the deflection of blame once again on display with tweets like that. And here's another conversation. I don't want to get too into this, but it was very clear that Pikamee is a lolly show. She is very comfortable talking about lolicon and shotacon. And some people are basically saying, well, she deserved to be graduated. And these are, once again, more people who have been involved in the harassment campaign, just celebrating and taking their victory lap over this situation. And here's another make it about me type of a tweet. You can say all these things, making excuses for the harassment and excusing them. And I think it's so funny. They still, at this point, even after all the harassment and all this documented bullying, they say fourth in their little rule book, streamers, for Christ's sake, stop streaming this effing game. Come on. No, they have every right to keep playing the game. There is no reason anyone should be harassed over playing a video game. This whole campaign has been unbelievably embarrassing, and no one should be told what to do in a situation like this. The harassment is not okay. I've been called alt-right more in the past 2 weeks than the entirety of my channel's history. And you know what the main message I'm getting labeled that for is? That's me saying don't bully and harass people over video games. There's better ways to express your discomfort with a video game. That makes me alt-right, apparently. Yeah, it's a pretty disturbing situation if you ask me. So I want to end this video on a positive note. I know it's been a lot of negativity and bad things, and a lot of people are upset about this graduation, but I want to keep a few things in mind. Number one, looking at tweets like this, it just shows how much of a fun-loving spirit Pikamee is, making light of the situation. This was their next tweet after her graduation announcement, and I want to make one thing very clear. It is not the end yet. She still has a month of activities, and I think instead of being angry and ending this in a very sad way, I think people should do their best to support Pikamee, go to her streams, celebrate everything she's done, and try to end this whole situation on as positive of a note as possible. So feel free to share all of your thoughts about this situation, your memories of Pikamee, and all of those related things in the comments section down below. Thank you for listening to all of this. I know it's been a lot, so I appreciate you sticking out these many, many minutes I've spent on this video, so it is appreciated. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.